Hi, I'm Amanda Palmer, and this is the various members of the Grand Theft Orchestra, and we are in a record store.
Which record store are we in?
We're in Size Records in
Size
Oklahoma City.
Records in Oklahoma City.
SizeRex.com, because if you go to SizeRecords.com...
Or size.com.
Is it
SizeRecords.com.
Size Records?
If you go to SizeRecords.com, all you get is giant cocks.
This long.
But maybe you do want to go there.
Sometimes longer.
Oh, size record, right?
But
Size
as you
rec.
can see, this is an awesome record store filled with awesome records. And we just walked through this record store and picked out some of our favorites. And I don't know, Jarek, why do you love record stores?
Well, my favorite record store that I currently go to is called Wall of Sound in Seattle, and they're one of those record stores that really just curates the store. There's not anything in there that they don't personally love and have listened to, and they take great care in curating their store, and it's awesome because you can go in there, just be like, and you can trust that what they hand you is going to be something awesome. So I like that place a lot. I picked out a few records that I really like and have inspired me. Jesus Christ Superstar. This was the first
The rest of the band is
major
like,
musical experience of my life. I played in Jesus Christ Superstar as an 8th grader playing bass, and it was fucking awesome.
Yay!
Akira Kurosawa's movie soundtracks,
Ooh, I saw that.
which I actually haven't listened to, but I've seen many of his movies, and without the music, the movies would still be great. But
you know one thing about record stores too that I've noticed is when I used to records shop more and peruse,
yeah,
I would come across a lot more soundtracks.
yeah,
Because I would go through the soundtrack section. You'd always find all this weird shit
totally.
that you wouldn't ever randomly find on the internet because there's no soundtrack section.
And that is
like
a good
that.
point. That, I mean, Oklahoma City's cool, it's cool. But I mean, a record shop is a place where you can find freaking Akira Kurosawa's movie soundtracks, and other people might be interested in that. It's really cool to, I don't know, be able to run into other people that are interested in that kind of stuff. So
You mean like meet girls?
probably not. So yeah, that one. I got Songs of the Humpback Whale, which I actually own at home and I listen to on a regular basis.
Are you serious?
In fact, I've sampled it and put it in one of my songs. All-time greatest hits of Roy Orbison.
Awesome.
It's lovely. And something that you could only find at a record store, which is Furry Rain. If you can zoom in on that.
It's actually on floppy.
It's on floppy disk.
Is it a CD-ROM?
Which you
It's
can pull.
It's a floppy disk case.
Yeah, and you got your CD in there. I mean, yeah,
That's some hand-burned shit.
that's
amazing.
That's legit. That's legit.
Furry Rains.
So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's the things you come across.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And
So-
it's also a place for, like, audiophiles. Like, I mean, this is a record that most people probably have on CD, but I pulled it off the shelves because it's, like, 10-inch vinyl, audiophile quality, faithfully restored. It's a specialty made instrument for people that love sound. And I think that when you're buying records, it's probably because you have a greater respect for sound quality, or you like the vessel of vinyl as a way to make this music sound more real, because it's an actual instrument. It's grooves cut into this vinyl that are then played with a needle. It's an actual mechanical process.
It's physical.
Playing this music in your house, not a bunch of zeros and ones, which I just love. And records always sound better to me, even if the record player sucks. This is a huge influence for me as a drummer. Danny Carey's drumming on this record blew me away as I guess high schooler when this came out. I was basically weaned on Tool and Soundgarden and Nine Inch Nails, and of that bunch, this drummer just blew me away. I mean, I still can't play anything on this record. He's ridiculous. It's probably because he has like 18 drums instead of the 4 that I play with. But if you haven't heard this record, you got to check out the drumming on that record. It's so cool. And then I grabbed these because these are like fellow musical theater makers. Like Talking Heads put on an amazing show, as you might remember from Stop Making Sense, which was like this great inspiration, I think, on some level for what we're about to do with our touring show that's happening in September. And then
The master.
the master, this one.
I think he's kind of the master.
Yeah.
Well,
At least of at least one planet.
Yeah, and this collaboration with Robert Wilson is what spawned this record. Was I guess Robert Wilson approaching Tom Waits and saying, "Hey, come write the music for this crazy piece of theater I wanted to do," and it like changed everything. It made it made it okay to be incredibly crazy and popular theater instead of just in weird obscure theater, and they did something that really like turned around the theater and music world all at the same time. And anyway.
Do you have a record store story?
A record store story? No, I have a record story, though, which was in 6th grade. I got my first straight A report card, which was, I wasn't the greatest student. I wasn't terrible, but I got straight A's in 6th grade, and as a sort of reward for doing well, my parents bought me the vinyl version of Genesis. What's the record with Invisible Touch? Invisible Touch.
Yeah.
That was the record. It was called Invisible Touch, and yeah, that was my first record.
Nice.
And then that spawned a huge collection, and then I started basically just pulling the records that my parents didn't want off the shelves and putting in my room where I had a vinyl player. And I was kind of inspired by my uncle. I've told you about my uncle. He's got 15,000 records in his house. He basically has boxes with paths cut through them so you can get through his house. But go over there and he'd give me all the old classic rock stuff or the obscure stuff. And it's like, to be able to hold this thing in your hand with large art, it's just so much different, I think. And I
And
I
they
crave
smell
the days. They
so
smell
good.
beautiful.
What have you got, Chad?
I don't know about them smelling good, but some of the oldies but goodies, B-52s,
Amazing.
Wild Planet. I forgot how much I like this record, but on the airplane ride over here, I gave it a listen to again, and it's like, damn. I was really inspired
stands
by
up.
that. It just kind of like snuck into my brain. This is Electric Light Orchestra,
Mhm.
Discovery. I know it might be a
Not-
guilty
not for,
pleasure.
Not for everybody.
It's a guilty pleasure, you know, but but
People love to hate
but yeah,
yellow.
yeah, you could hate. That's cool.
Don't hate.
But and Curtis Mayfield because I love soul.
And
I don't even know what record this is, but I saw it right here and I was like, okay,
It's a great cover.
rap. But this Serge Gainsbourg's History to Melody Nelson. And this is what I like about record stores here. They put like little notes for you. You know, they say, classic 1968 ode to the joys of pedophilia.
Oh!
So, you know, it's like a little message that, like, you know, that you better be sure about what you're buying.
Do you have a good record store story?
Yeah. My favorite record store was in Austin, Texas, Waterloo Records, famous Waterloo Records, and I was there with some friends of mine just perusing, and I ran into Quentin Tarantino,
Ooh.
and he had about a stack of records about a hand's width deep, and it was about like 2 years before the first Kill Bills came out, which, you know, Quentin Tarantino has like the best selection of music in his records or in his movies. So I'm just thinking, like, how many of those songs that were in those films that we see and love did he like discover at this record store? And just to know that I was like there at the time when he was
Genesis.
perusing, which was
That's
amazing.
awesome.
But it's also like this, you know, favorite record store of mine in New Haven, Cutler's, closed down after being open for 50 years just because it's hard, you know, it's a community that's kind of dying, so you got to support your local record stores or else you won't have this meeting place of
How the fuck are you gonna meet Quentin
audiophiles,
Yeah.
audiophiles and
Filmmakers.
pedophilia files.
Oh my god, you did not pick that record.
I did too.
You
So I have a simple
You did.
selection. I have this record at home. It's way beat up and shitty, and it doesn't have this sticker on the front. This is one of my favorite records of all time. The double LP of Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Yeah,
There are no
Amazing.
words. There are no
Yeah.
words.
goes without saying.
One of the best
Yeah.
records of all time. This is
This is the one I was talking about.
this
not
is
Pink Floyd.
this is a record, also a record that I physically own, and I've owned since I was like 13. Polka Party. Weird Al has this awesome thing he does on every record. He does a polka medley of the popular songs of the day.
Yeah.
It's always fucking rad. And actually, I discovered a lot of songs, like, well, I didn't know I was discovering them, but like Smoke on the Water and like all of these like classic 70s and 80s songs, I heard first in polka form through the vehicle of Weird Al. And yeah, I have all Weird Al's records at home.
And he still looks the same today.
He doesn't
It's
age.
ageless.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. And this, I had actually never seen before. This is a Cure record I haven't seen, so it's a special vinyl. It's an expanded 2 LP version, remixed and remastered. All 12 songs from Disintegration, and if I'm a good fan, I will buy this, because Disintegration is one of my favorite albums of all time, like The Wall. A huge influence on our new record, actually, like really directly. And this reminds me of, I was trying to think of good record store stories. There was a record store I used to go to almost every weekend when I was like 15, 16, called Second Comings. It's closed now. It was in Harvard Square in Boston, in Cambridge. And the thing about going into record stores like that, like used record stores, is they would have everything but the shit you knew. Mm-hmm. Like, you couldn't go in there and buy Disintegration or, you know, like, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, or like the typical records. There would be like this weird Japanese vinyl, you know, 10-inch that would just be there every week, but it cost $35. Like, no one would buy it. But I actually realized, like, over the course of going to these record stores, like, week after week after week and having no money, I became really familiar with all those records, even though I never bought them. Like, because I would study the artwork, I would look at them and be like, wow, it's this weird, obscure Cure record I'll never be able to afford. But I would just sort of sit there and ogle it, and it would sort of become like visiting a friend on the weekend. I'll never be able to afford you, but I'll come look at you. And yeah, I mean, that's how I got all into all of the bands that I look back now and influenced me, The Cure and Depeche Mode and stuff, was going into those record stores, like having heard a tip-off from my older brother or whatever, and all I would know was the band name, and I would see the stuff and I would just look at it, and if the artwork was interesting, and sometimes I'd actually pull it out, like pull the tape out or pull the record out and read the lyrics, and if I thought the lyrics weren't stupid, I would buy it.
Yeah.
And if I thought the lyrics looked dumb, I'd put it back. So yeah, I have very, very fond memories of all those record stores, and most of them are gone. There's like one left standing in Harvard Square. So, yeah, what is the moral of the story?
Go to record stores.
Go to record stores!
Buy records.
Yay!
Have a collection. Give it to your kids.